Remember, it's Tax Day Eve, and we'll have some tips and tricks for you to get your returns in on time and maybe even save you some money.
And I'm Celestia Sherman. April is Parkinson's Awareness Month, and today we'll learn about a wearable device that can potentially alleviate Parkinson's disease symptoms.
And I'm Frank Billingsley, plus Houston City Council member Emmie Peck joins us, and we'll check in with the Houston Foodie friends.
As Ernie, Frank, and I discuss the top headlines of the day, we want your thoughts, questions, and concerns. Give us a call at 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@houston.org.
All this and more right here on Hello Houston, right after the news from NPR and News 88.7.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Windsor Johnston. President Trump is hosting the president of El Salvador at this hour at the White House. The meeting comes amid growing scrutiny over the administration's expanded deportation policies and El Salvador's handling of detainees. Freelance reporter Manuel Rueda says the two leaders are expected to address a number of issues, including the case of a Maryland man who was wrongly deported to El Salvador.
Last month, a Maryland resident, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, was sent by mistake to El Salvador. The Trump administration recognized he was sent there by mistake. His family hasn't even been able to get in touch with him, despite the Supreme Court's insistence that he should be repatriated. So the question is if this will be brought up during the meeting between both presidents.
In recent weeks, the Trump administration has deported more than 200 people, many of them Venezuelan nationals accused of gang affiliations. The man who oversaw the dismantlement of the U.S. Agency for International Development has left the State Department. NPR's Michelle Kellerman reports his departure comes just months into the Trump administration.
The State Department says that Pete Morocco was brought to the department to conduct an exhaustive review of every dollar spent on foreign assistance. The statement says Morocco, quote, exposed egregious abuses, adding, quote, we all expect big things are in store for Pete on his next mission. The department did not say what that might be. A Democrat on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Brian Schatz, says Morocco's tenure brought what he called reckless and unlawful policy to the State Department. He says he wants to hear directly from Secretary of State Marco Rubio about the future of U.S. foreign assistance. Michelle Kellerman, NPR News, the State Department.
The Federal Trade Commission's antitrust trial against social media company Meta is underway. NPR's Bobby Allen reports Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg and former Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg are set to take the witness stand during the trial, which is expected to last 2 months.
The case is centered on whether Meta's acquisition of Instagram and WhatsApp violated competition laws. Years before the purchases, Zuckerberg wrote in an internal email, quote, it is better to buy than compete. The FTC says Meta became dominant only after competing unfairly to box out rivals and should be forced to break up Instagram and WhatsApp into separate companies. Meta says regulators approved the takeover of Instagram and WhatsApp more than a decade ago and that the FTC is punishing Meta for its success. Dozens of witnesses will testify under oath, including Zuckerberg, who is expected to take the stand for 7 hours. Zuckerberg has lobbied the Trump administration for the case to be dropped. It was originally filed during Trump's first term. Bobby Allen, NPR News.
Stocks are trading higher on Wall Street at this hour. The Dow is up 140 points, the Nasdaq up 48. This is NPR News in Washington.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Matt Thomas. The Houston Health Department expects to lose $42 million as a result of federal funding cuts. That includes about $12 million in personnel costs. News 88.7's Dominic Anthony Walsh reports the loss is raising concerns about potential cuts in housing funds.
The Houston Chronicle, which first reported on the cut, says the health department's $99 million budget was supplemented by about $71 million in state and federal grants. The city's Housing and Community Development Department, by contrast, draws 99% of its funding from federal grants. Councilmember Tiffany Thomas chairs the city's housing committee.
Any type of, reduction in funds will disrupt the entire housing ecosphere that we've created in the city.
The health department says it's still assessing the full impact of our programs and services, while the housing department says it continues to assess daily actions out of Washington, D.C. I'm Dominic Anthony Walsh, News 88.7.
A celebration of life of boxer George Foreman being held this hour at the Cullen Theater on Wortham Theater Center on Prairie Street and Smith Street downtown right now. The service is a partnership of the Foreman family and the city of Houston. Raised from humble beginnings in the Fifth Ward, Foreman became an ordained minister, of course was a champion heavyweight boxer, and invented the George Foreman Grill as an entrepreneur. An historic house burned down in Galveston this weekend. 2 people were injured at the George Ball House on 24th Street. Multiple outlets reporting that the homeowners made it out safely, but 2 people did have severe burns and smoke inhalation. The specific cause is not known at this time. The weather sunny today with a high of 84. Tonight we're down around 65 with increasing clouds, and then mostly sunny with a high of 82 for tomorrow. I'm Matt Thomas, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Fisher Investments. Fisher's dedicated team of specialists provide resources on investing, retirement income, estate planning, and more. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Live from the University of Houston, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's your host for Hello Houston, Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
It's Monday, a whole new week for us. Hello, Houston.
I mean, what a weekend.
What a weekend.
If
we could bottle it, we could sell it.
If you are watching us on YouTube, which you can very easily do by going to the HoustonPublicMedia.org website or on the YouTube channel where it's just the Houston Public Media channel, you will see just how tired all 3 of us are from a very long weekend. We were out there.
It was fun.
It was so fun.
How was the Bryan Museum?
The Bryan Museum is a wonderful treasure. It's down in Galveston. It's a history museum of the Texas area. What's cool is J.P. Bryan had saved all of this memorabilia and then gifted it to this museum, which he funded for a while, and now it's a full 501c3 museum sharing our history.
No, it's great. And it's the old Galveston orphanage that was sitting there vacant for years, and everyone thought, duplexes or something, what's going to happen? And then JP came along and bought it and redid it, and it's fabulous.
So did he restore it?
Oh, yes.
So it's a restorative. Yeah. See, I love that because that is history, and Galveston is full of that.
For a while, it was a private residence after the orphanage, and then the person who bought it and their family were like, we don't want it, and they left. Yeah. So they've restored it back to the way it was. And
beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's great. You need to go.
I sign
We'll
me
do
up.
more on it.
We'll do more.
But besides that being beautiful, the weather, we couldn't have asked for a better weekend.
And we have a front coming in tonight. That's another dry front. It's going to crisp things for tomorrow morning. So today's a good day. Tax day is going to be a good day. At least for the weather. And then as we head toward Easter right now, the weekend's looking a little dicey as far as rain.
Oh, no.
It's not huge chances, but it's 30% to 40% on Sunday. I know.
I laugh because Celeste and I both like, does it ruin our plan? For you, Celeste, it probably will if you're having an Easter egg hunt or something like that.
Yes, Easter's one of my favorite holidays. I guess religious holidays for me. I love it. It just represents spring, and we do the Easter egg hunt and hope and all the new things and spring. Fresh life. Amen,
and
Ernie.
This year, every 5 years, Greek Easter, Pascha will fall on the other Easter.
Yes, Orthodox are going to be with the as we used to call it growing up. There was Greek Easter and American Easter.
Oh, well.
That's
they're on the same day this year.
Yes, every 5 years we get that beauty. And talking of beauty, we also had the Art Car Parade, which was beautiful, and the weather held for that.
That was fun.
That is officially one of my favorite things now to do in Houston.
It's crazy.
I didn't know how fun it was going to be until I got there, and it was like super fun.
280 cars came down of all this amazing artistry. We had some folks on the show on Friday talking about it, and then we got to MC it this weekend. So mark it on your calendars for next April. We'll be back out there and those cars will be rolling.
I've got to say, I had such a millennial moment and like a little ADHD when I was watching all the cars. I was like, we have to do an art car. Like,
oh, Lord. You're going to be
this
a
is going to be my
participant?
hobby now.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to go to
now
Hobby Lobby.
coming down the street is Celeste Sherman driving the Hello Houston car. Those are heads of the three hosts. No, they're their actual heads glued to the side of the car. Anyway, so there's our humorous part of the day. Here's the stark reality of the day. Tomorrow, as Frank alluded to, is tax day.
Tax day.
Some of you are procrastinators. I used to be one of you. So we've got last-minute tips and answers to your questions. I'm saying it now because I want you to call in right now and get those questions or email us. Max the Tax Man is going to be here and help you with your last-minute questions. Give us a call, 713-440-8870, or you can email your questions to talk@hellohouston.org. Do that right now. Get those questions in. But now we move into the top of the show with headlines. Celeste, lead us off.
Yeah, thanks, Ernie. You may have seen in the headlines or heard in conversation about the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, or also known as the SAVE Act. And if you haven't, you should probably know about it. The SAVE Act is a federal bill that is headed to the Senate and would require anyone registering to vote or changing their registration to appear in person at an election office with original or certified documents proving not only identity, but also citizenship status. So for most Americans, this would mean showing a passport or a birth certificate. And while this may seem like a non-issue for many of us, research continues to show that a significant portion of U.S. citizens, over 21 million, don't have proof of citizenship readily available. There are also growing concerns about how this bill would affect voting for millions of married women. As high as 83% of married women could be affected by this bill because if they change their last name, most likely, obviously, it's not going to necessarily match their birth certificate. So we want to know, do you feel in-person proof of documentation besides a driver's license should be needed to vote, or will this suppress voting for some groups? Give us a call, 713-440-8870.
I know a few male couples that have changed their names. That might affect them as well.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
not sure about the birth certificate being, it just seems to me like a birth certificate, which obviously doesn't come with a picture or a fingerprint.
And if it did, it wouldn't really
It wouldn't be a very good picture.
footprint.
It might be a cute picture, but it just seems to me like a birth certificate is probably the easiest thing to forge. I mean, if you hand over a birth certificate, what is the voter? What's the voting person going to do? I mean, how are they going to say, oh, well, let me go call the hospital, make sure this is real?
Okay.
Right.
I've got a birth certificate story. Of course I do. So when I was born, my name was not Ernest David Manus. It was David Ernest Manus. The Ernest is after my mom's father. My mom has a brother. She was worried if she named me and he had a son.
Okay, come on.
Yeah. So then her brother said to her, no, you can name your son anything you want. So she called the hospital and told them after I was born, I want him to be Ernest David. They sent the new birth certificate. Someone had just scratched it out with a pen and wrote the new name over it and sent it. And that's my official birth certificate. Has a cross out on it.
So maybe that's what all these women should do. These women should just cross out their maiden name and put in their married name and say, there it is. So
well, I think it's interesting, and Ernie and I were talking about this before the show, about how right now, currently, there are so many bills at the federal level, but also the state level, that are talking and looking at voter documentation. And so I find it interesting that, full stop, it is illegal to vote if you are not a U.S. citizen.
Correct.
And to get your voter's registration, get on the lists, you have to prove citizenship.
Correct.
So if you have a voter's registration card already, you have proven your citizenship. So then I'm fine with a photo ID to prove you're the person because your voter registration doesn't have that.
And even if you don't have
if
you don't have a driver's license, you can at least get a state issued ID, which looks very much like a driver's license.
Correct.
And now with this whole gold star that you're going to have to travel, you know, if you need to have this for more than just voting.
Well, it's going to be very interesting. Republican Chip Roy of Texas proposed the bill looking to make sweeping reforms, obviously, on voter registration that we're just talking about in response to fears about voter fraud. Though, again, research has shown those conditions are exceedingly rare. The SAVE Act will have an uphill battle in the Senate. 7 Democrats will have to support the bill in order to pass it. which will most likely be unlikely.
There's a call from Bonnie, from
Yes.
Katie. Bonnie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How are you?
I'm good. What do you think about this?
I just wanted to tell you guys the number of times I have sat across from other women in their 20s, 30s, and heard the laughing little, anecdote. We've been married for 15 years. No, I haven't gone and changed my, name. Are you kidding me? We've been married 7 years, whatever. And I'm almost in my 40s now. I'm telling you, so many people, they just don't see a reason to do this. And also having cruised. When you cruise, you have to show your birth certificate, which because, you don't have to have a passport. The amount of headaches where people can't find them or they went through a fire and they don't have the documents. I'm a conservative, and this is just straight up voter suppression. And I'm, messaging my congressman to say we can all see what's going on here, but it's just, we don't need to do this. We've seen that this is not an issue. And it's sad what's going on.
Bonnie, you did say my favorite thing in there, and you know it. Reach out to your elected officials. That's who they answer to us. So if you have concerns or issues on any topics, please reach out to them. Let your voice be heard. Bonnie, thank you so much for doing that, and thank you for calling us.
Thank you. And let me add, reach out to Cornyn, because now Paxton's in the race and saying all this stuff, and Cornyn should hear from us. That's it.
Okay. Thank
like
you,
that.
Bonnie.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Remember, anyone that has a thought, question, you can give us a call, 713-440-8870. Let's move on to another issue, and this one gets kind of rough here. Houston Police Department said at least 10 bodies found inside a Richardson mortuary Friday. Let me try that again. Inside the Richardson mortuary Friday were laying on the ground and on cardboard. These are the corpses. Videos posted to social media showed the bodies in what loved ones described as horrifying and unacceptable condition. The online videos quickly circulated, and more families began to show up after recognizing their loved ones. It's a rough one. What should happen to this funeral home? What do you think? Give us a call, 713-440-8870.
I'm dead serious when I say.
Okay.
Celeste.
Guys,
You're
I had
killing
to.
me.
I'm
You're
sorry.
killing me.
I like. Okay, no, but truly, I mean, that was obviously a little insensitive, but I had to do it. When I say that this truly is unfortunate, but I would really love to speak to a funeral home owner or somebody who understands the nuances of the industry, who obviously we're not going to be hanging out within a funeral home.
Right.
So what is that could explain to us what is the difference between something that truly is really barbaric and versus just bad form?
Well, the dignity you should pay to the deceased. The body should be respected and treated with a certain sense of sensitivity. These are someone's loved ones. These are the remains of a human being who have passed.
I would allow
there, Celeste?
I'm sorry. I feel like, Ernie, you looked at me like, how could you?
Well, no, it's not.
I'm sorry. I'm not making light of it.
There are a lot of bodies around, and you got to do something with them, is what you're saying.
Yes, and of course,
of course
family
you want to be
members.
respectful. Who's taking the online videos? Who's taking these videos?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That person I would fire if they haven't already been fired.
Right.
Because there are always going to be times when you're dealing with this kind of sensitive issue that you might slip or you might have to do something that most people don't understand, which is, to your point, why we need to hear from somebody in this industry
that understands the nuances. And truly, obviously, my heart goes out to the family members because of the amount of grief that they're already experiencing and then have to deal with this. It really is unfortunate. But I would really like to understand, is that semi-normal?
Storing the bodies on the floor on cardboard probably is not industry standard. I'm assuming
they had nowhere else to put them. I mean, I'm hoping that would be the reason they do that.
Right.
But still, there was another incident that happened at that same mortuary. Houston Police Department said a man was reportedly stabbed inside the mortuary after a confrontation broke out between a worker and family members of one of the deceased. Police said that they're only investigating the stabbing. But HPD spokesperson added that in terms of any criminal offenses involved in the condition of the bodies in the mortuary would likely be determined by Harris County District Attorney and the Texas Funeral Service Commission.
Yeah, sounds to me like it's bad form, but I don't know.
What do you all think?
I don't either.
713-440-8870.
Hey, here's a Metro story that we have that's coming
Get
down.
us away from the dead
We'll get away from the dead bodies. All right. Metro is relaunching a direct bus route between downtown Houston and Bush Intercontinental Airport. It started yesterday. The route will provide passengers with nonstop rides to and from the George R. Brown, right to Terminal C at the airport. Of course, that's located north of the city. The route's going to run 7 days a week from 5:30 to 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So buses are going to run every 30 minutes. Rides cost $4.50 each way. So, would you take the Metro now to the airport? Call 713-440-8870. It's kind of interesting.
Of all of today's topics, this one I get behind. This one I like.
Well,
this
we need
one
better
I'm happy
transportation to and from the airport.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that depending on when you go, that it could hop on the toll road, too, to get up there pretty quickly.
They say it takes about 30 minutes to get from one.
That's a good average without any traffic.
I can't tell you how many times I think about, okay, either I park, and that's going to be expensive if I'm gone for a while. If I take some sort of Uber or ride share, that's expensive. If I take a limousine, that's expensive. Limousine. Or
do they have limousines anymore?
I don't even know. I don't know there, sir. But when I pull out my big money wad from Wall Street, I take the limousine.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking myself as a little Monopoly man guy with the monocle.
I was hearing more Richie Rich.
Yeah. Or Richie Rich, either one. But actually, the bus is where I'd probably end up going. And so I love the idea. And I think, we should have fast. I mean, originally wasn't the idea that our rail was going to take us up there.
How about an art car?
Yes. And Celeste is going to ride there in an art car. That's good to know. What are your thoughts? Would you take the Metro to the airport? 713-440-8870. Just make sure they have room for your luggage. There's nothing worse than people drag luggage onto a bus and all of that.
That's a good point.
Okay, what else do you need to know? Today is National Gardening Day. Good weather for that, right, Frank?
It's perfect weather for that.
National Dolphin Day.
What's the porpoise?
We are on.
We're crazy
on
today.
Roll
National
today.
Pecan
So
or
weird.
Pecan Day.
Pecan.
Nobody says pecan unless you're
Pecan.
from a different place.
No, pecan.
And here we go. National Ex-Spouses Day. I'm not exactly sure how you
Yikes.
celebrate that.
How do you celebrate that?
We're really good friends with Kevin's ex-spouse. We love her.
Well, then good.
okay,
Today's the day to
good.
celebrate
You
her.
should
So
send her a message.
not all ex-spouses, have a problem. I mean,
Right.
a lot do,
No.
but not all.
Yes.
I'm friends with most of the people that I used to hang with.
Remember,
I don't have one, so I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Remember,
Well,
we are
thank
also.
goodness. If you're not more sensitive to dead people, you might.
I know, right? Oh.
We are also taking your tax questions.
Yes.
So give us a call with those, 713-440-8870. I keep pushing that because this is pretty much, if you procrastinated getting your taxes done, you're probably procrastinating calling us with your questions. So do it now. Email them to us, talk@hellohouston.org. We'll be answering those shortly.
And coming up on Hello Houston, Albert Einstein famously once said the hardest thing in the world to understand is the income tax. Not today, Einstein, because Max Zimmerman, also known as Max the Tax Man, is in the house. He's going to join us next to talk about tomorrow's filing, like Ernie was just mentioning, and to take your last-minute tax questions. Give us a call, 713-440-8870. This is Hello Houston on News 88.7.
Okay.
Every conversation you hear starts with a question about life right here in Greater Houston. And every conversation continues because of you. And right now, when you give, your donation will be
double.
Thank you, Frank. All you have to do is make your donation at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. I'm Celeste Diaz-Sherman here with Frank Billingsley.
Wow, that's awesome news. Right now, all donations that come in during our program, Hello Houston, which means right now, are doubled. So this is a great opportunity, and we want to make sure you take advantage of it. If your goal is to start the week off strong, do it by supporting your public media station. Now is the time to give. Double your donation at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
We love bringing you conversations that are relevant, real, and rooted in this city. That's what Hello Houston does, and that's what makes it different. If you've ever thought, I'm glad I heard that, this is your moment to give back. And don't forget that donations are being doubled right now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
Monthly donations are the most impactful way to give. A lot of people say giving $10, $10 or $20 a month works really well. And when you give monthly, it allows us to plan ahead so that we can keep you informed, no matter what the future holds. So try giving $10 or $20 a month. And right now, your monthly gifts are doubled for an entire year. You give us $20 a month, it's actually going to be $40. So we love that. Just give it HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
Every weekday, we slow down and we listen. Whether we're spotlighting an artist, a public figure, whether an event, an iconic Houston event, or hearing from someone who's making a difference. Hello Houston is here to connect you to your community. Your support makes it possible. Give now at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or give us a call, 888-909-0887. And again, public media works differently. It's powered by people, not by ads. And right now, someone just like you is stepping up to keep local conversations going, like the ones that we have right here on Hello Houston. So pick up that phone and give us a call, 888-909-0887.
It's more important than ever to stay informed. That's why Houston Public Media delivers well-researched news that's free for everyone.
And right now, your support helps make sure it stays that way. No subscription, no paywall, just news that's here when you need it.
Give today to keep yourself and your community informed, no matter what the future holds.
Make your donation now at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate.
Or call 888-909-0887.
Tonight on Houston Public Media, TV8. The new season of Antiques Roadshow travels to Baltimore as they find some astonishing treasures with a stop at the Maryland Zoo. Tonight at 7 on TV8 or stream on the PBS app. Support comes from Signify Business Cash by Wells Fargo. With this business credit card, cardholders can earn rewards on business purchases with no caps or categories to track. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/signify. Terms apply. Support comes from Houston Grand Opera, presenting Wagner's Tannhäuser in a production featuring tenor Russell Thomas on stage at Wortham Theater, April 25th through May 11th. Tickets are available at hgo.org. Support comes from Blake Hillegeist Real Estate, independent commercial and residential real estate broker with over 30 years experience guiding clients through economic downturns, realty challenges, and everyday life situations. More at blakesellshouston.com. Support comes from Gen Pro, a Houston-based home generator service, providing power to homes during unexpected outages, helping with connectivity and productivity. More information is available at genpro.com. Support comes from the Houston Zoo, presenting its annual Feast with the Beasts. Cuisine from a number of Houston's diverse eateries, animal experiences, live music, and more. May 2nd. More at houstonzoo.org.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on any of today's topics, call 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now back to Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
And welcome back. Celeste, Frank, and I are here with you. And if you didn't already know it, the deadline for taxes is tomorrow, April 15th. I keep pushing this, but fear not, help is on the way. We're going to be taking your last-minute filing questions in just a couple of seconds. So give us a call, 713-440-8870, or email them to us at talk@hellohouston.org.
But first, Sussman Godfrey, a Houston-based law firm, filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump's administration after the president targeted the law firm in an executive order last week. Sussman Godfrey represented Dominion Voting Systems in filing a defamation lawsuit against Fox News back in 2021, which attorneys argued falsely published conspiracy theories about the company's voting machines and the rigged 2020 election. To tell us more about the lawsuit and Trump's executive order, we welcome News 88.7 reporter Sarah Grunow. Sarah, welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you for having me.
So why did President Trump target Sussman Godfrey in this executive? Why is this coming back up now?
Yeah, there are a couple claims that the president made in his executive order against Sussman Godfrey. He said that the company engages in activities that are detrimental to critical American interest. He said that action is needed to address the company's egregious conduct and conflicts of interest. And he also brought up claims about the company's diversity hiring practices as well.
Are there crimes here, though? Isn't a law firm to represent their clients, pushing the client's concerns while following the legal guidelines of our justice system?
Yeah, absolutely. There are no specific crimes that are really outlined in here. Kind of just claims that were made, like I said, quote, egregious conduct and conflicts of interest, things like that.
But this has been common with the Trump administration. This isn't the first law firm, but they're the first that I've seen that has really said, we're not turning over for this. We're going to fight back. Right,
exactly. So Sussman Godfrey actually filed a lawsuit after the executive order came in last week. So this is probably, I think, the fourth or fifth law firm that Trump has recently targeted as well.
And what statements has the Trump administration made about this executive order specifically?
Yeah, in the executive order that Trump signed, he said that the law firm spearheaded efforts to weaponize the American legal system and degrade the quality of American elections.
Wow. So the punishment that the White House, the administration, is trying to put on this law firm is what?
Yeah, so there are a couple things that they were seeking in the executive order. So the one that Trump signed, he made claims like he wanted to make sure that the order suspended employees of the law firm from receiving security clearances to government buildings. It also directed government agencies to refrain from hiring employees of the firm and directed all government agencies basically to terminate their contracts with Sussman Godfrey.
So punishment and financial hardship for the lawsuit or for the law firm as a punishment for what he or they saw as unfair practices.
Right, exactly.
And if you can't get into any federal buildings, that is going to really hamper what you do as a lawyer.
Right, and just to clarify, Sussman Godfrey represented the Dominion voting systems in the filing of a defamation lawsuit against Fox in 2021. What was that outcome? Because I feel like this is an important part of the story.
Yeah, it definitely is. So attorneys for Sussman Godfrey argued that Fox News falsely published conspiracy theories about the company's voting machines and a rigged 2020 election. In the end, Fox actually agreed to pay Dominion Voting Systems $787 million in a settlement.
Wow. And what have the Sussman Godfrey representatives said about the executive order now? Where are we at?
Yeah, on Friday, the law firm basically put out a statement saying that the executive order is unconstitutional and retaliatory. They said that no administration should be allowed to punish lawyers simply for doing their jobs as well.
Wow.
Sarah Grunau, thank you, a reporter for News 88.7. Great information. We talked about this last week when it first came out.
Right.
And I'm personally glad that the law firm is standing up for itself. So keep us informed, please.
Thank you so much.
All right. So if you didn't already hear it from us, here again, the deadline to file your taxes is tomorrow, April 15th. And by now, most of us tax-paying citizens have already filed some sort of something or another, like maybe an extension in my case. But have you procrastinated? Is that a lingering chore you have to complete? Are you like Homer Simpson and forgot that you have to file your taxes every year?
You know what? I used to be that person. But I'm not anymore. I used to always forget, and it was always a last-minute rush. On the 15th at like 11, I'm like typing in and stuff. Well, if you have last-minute tax day questions, you're welcome to just call right now at 713-440-8870, and you can ask tax attorney Max Zimmerman, better known, we gave him this name, Max the Tax Man.
I love it.
Right now, he's here with us on Hello Houston. Hello there, Max. You been busy?
Very, very, very busy. And
I bet.
Good to talk with you.
Well, it's great to have you here with us. You're going to put some people's minds at ease, I hope, and you're also going to help us find a way through all of this. Let's just start off. Mercy is calling us from Jersey Village and has the first question for you. So, Mercy, share it with us.
Cool.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
And thank you so much for help. Yes. My brother is 89 years old. He's in a nursing home, and he's never filed an income tax return. And in 2021, he made around $6,000 from Social Security. And what I heard was that to get the stimulus money, that people should send in that return. Sorry. And so I don't know if I should do that, because will that money just go straight to the nursing home?
Good question. Thank you, Mercy. Max, take it away.
Yeah. No, only if the IRS has to, unless you owe the IRS money, they can't just pay it to a creditor. Let's say you're in bankruptcy. So he's probably not. So, yes, and the worst that happens is you just get it in and do it by tomorrow, because after tomorrow, the IRS, by law, cannot pay that money out ever again. Not the next day, not a year from the next day, ever. So that's the statute. So get it in as quick as possible.
Hey, Max, it's Frank Billingsley. I have a question because we've seen the director of the IRS step down. An acting director came in. She's stepping down. The middle management was already gutted by COVID. I've heard concerns that the IRS just isn't keeping up with technology, and the population is growing, and getting all of this turned around in a timely manner is really going to be a challenge for the IRS. What do you think?
I've already experienced challenges with the IRS. Fortunately, I'm able to deal a lot of the times with the practitioner priority service, and they're very courteous and very professional. But the IRS is dealing. Have you ever heard of COBOL?
Yes.
Probably not.
The computer language?
Before you were born?
Well, not me, Max, but some of us here at the table.
And so, but it's been in the budget for upgrade the IRS system, both the hardware and the software, and that's been in the budget for about 20 years, and it keeps getting repassed, and it keeps getting shut off during these various continuing resolutions. So, you're not just cutting off the people that are coming out and looking to get money from you. You're cutting out the people who are trying to help taxpayers get their returns filed.
Yeah. Max, because we're tight on time, as are the people who haven't filed yet. So a couple quick questions. Just want to clarify, too, something you said. So if you don't get your returns in tomorrow, doing it the next day doesn't then... Is that okay? Like, okay, well, we just missed the deadline, but we're close enough. Or is there a penalty there?
There is a penalty. What she was talking about was a 2021 return.
Right.
But there is a penalty if you owe money.
Right.
If you don't owe money, the penalty is based on the amount that you owe. So if you don't owe any money, any number times zero is how much?
Zero. I learned that from you, Max. So if it comes to be Wednesday and you get it in the mail, it's better than waiting till Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whenever.
Definitely. Even if you owe money, it's better getting it in the mail as quickly as possible, because the penalties, if you owe money, the penalties increase each month. It's not just penalty, but interest.
Here's a question, Max, from one of our listeners. I'm not quite sure I understand it, but it's, do full-time students need to file? Is there an amount? And if they do file, does it help long-term with Social Security? Anybody who makes money has to file, right? If you make more than $6,000 a year?
No, actually, you don't have to file unless you're over the certain threshold. It's like $14,600 for a single person. Married filing joint is twice that. So you don't have to file. If you think you might have a refund coming, you don't get it unless you file. And if you just want to make sure you didn't overlook that 1099 that said you had $98,000 of dividends paid to you, you might want to get that in too. But
Max, another quick question on that. If you're filing and you can't find some paperwork Should you just continue to file with what you have, or is that not a good idea?
Not really a good idea, because then you've made if it's a big enough, if it's only $50, but if it, say it's $5,000, then you've gotten to this point where you haven't really filed a return, and it's best to go ahead and get that information. You can always pay what you think you owe, even if you don't file, and cut off the penalties.
Oh, that makes sense.
And you can, it's best to, speaking of services that the IRS provides, you can go into these, don't try the downtown office, but the satellite offices of the IRS, they're very good about helping you. They get you a transcript of what your wages and income were.
You mentioned going into the offices. With the short time we have left, is there a phone number or an online chat where the IRS is helping people, or is that just going to be a nightmare at this point?
That is going to be a nightmare at this point. You can Google the IRS offices and get that phone number, but you'll probably be waiting on hold from now till midnight tomorrow night to get somebody to answer the phone.
Hey, Max, if you've been
imagine, they've got people calling.
Yeah, if you've been remiss and haven't paid taxes, are you better off going to the IRS and saying, "Mea culpa, I'm here to make this right. Help me on this," or will they just nail you? What would you do?
Well, if you don't know, go in and get a transcript, and you can take that transcript after tomorrow. You wait until after Cinco de Mayo, and you can go to neighborhood centers and have them file returns for you. AARP does prior year returns, but they close after tomorrow.
Okay, quick question for you. I've heard many times the longer you wait to pay, the less chance you have of getting audited, because early in the cycle they pick from the ones that have come in. As it gets closer to tax day, they're not going to audit you. True or false?
No.
False. All right, there's where we'll have to end
kind of
it.
the other way around.
Oh.
They don't like it when you, let's say you've got a 2024 return and you wait till 2027 to file it.
No, they don't like that at all.
Thank you, Max.
On Superman's tape.
Thank you, Max,
That's right.
for always helping us.
Max Zimmerman, better known as Max the Tax Man, is a local tax attorney and tax guru. Max, thanks again so much for joining us on Hello Houston.
Oh, you're welcome. Always fun.
Coming up on Hello Houston, we'll be talking with two Rice students looking to help people with Parkinson's in a low-cost way. This is Hello Houston on News 88.7. Stay with us. Knowing more about the things that matter to you, like taxes, because it helps you navigate life confidently. When you understand what's happening, you're better equipped to engage, to lead, to care. And that's what Hello Houston brings you. And your gift right now helps us bring you even more of this. And here's another reason to give when you make your gift right now. Your donation will be doubled. Please give at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. I'm Celeste Diaz-Sherman here with Ernie Manous.
Hello Houston reaches into neighborhoods across communities and spotlights voices you might never hear otherwise. And when you hear the voice, it's just not their name. It creates a connection. That's the power of this show. And you make that possible. Help us keep you connected right now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
Coming up later in the show, we will be speaking to Rice students that are making a huge impact right there on their campus. And this conversation is exactly why this show matters. It adds value, perspective, and local insight you can't find anywhere else. If that's worth something to you, take a moment right now and give at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
You rely on Houston Public Media to keep you informed. And right now, you can make your gift go twice as far. Every donation is doubled, but only for a limited time. This is your chance to protect your right to know and make sure fact-based news is freely available to everyone in Greater Houston. Double your donation today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or by calling 888-909-0887.
Listen, right now, public media is facing some real challenges. But what keeps us strong is community, and community means you. Your gift protects this independent space for open dialogue, free from ads, paywalls, or outside pressure. That's what keeps Hello Houston real. Help protect it now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
These stories, these conversations, this connection, none of it happens without your support. When we say listener supported, we mean it. 80% of our budget comes from Houstonians like you. So if you believe in what Hello Houston is doing, now's the moment. Please give now, and remember, it gets doubled at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate, or go the old-fashioned way. Pick up the phone and give us a call, 888-909-0887.
Hi, I'm Craig Cohen, the host of Houston Matters. Join me weekday mornings at 9 or at your leisure on your podcast feed for your daily guide to the people, places, issues, and ideas that define Greater Houston. From politics to the economy, energy to the environment, healthcare to education to transportation and beyond. If it matters to Houston, it matters to us. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts or live on the air weekdays at 9 a.m. right here on News 88.7.
You have the right to know what's happening, not just the news headlines, but the context that helps you understand what every story means for you and your community.
Houston Public Media makes that possible, bringing you independent news that's always free. No paywalls, no barriers, just facts.
Your support helps protect your access to well-researched reporting.
Support your right to stay informed by giving at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or 888-909-0887.
Support comes from the Inspirity Invitational, presented by United Healthcare, bringing the legends of the PGA Tour champions to the Woodlands Country Club tournament course, April 28th to May 4th. More information at inspirityinvitational.com. Support comes from Novotny & Company, offering commercial and residential property tax protests for 38 years. The deadline to file a protest is May 21st in Harris County. Info and online filing at novotnycompany.com. Support comes from electricityplans.com, helping Houstonians find electricity plans based on home energy usage with tools to compare rates. Enrollment details and more at electricityplans.com. Support comes from Texas Mutual Insurance Company, committed to strengthening the state's workforce and its communities through safety and wellness grants and education initiatives. More at texasmutual.com/community impact.
And now back to Hello Houston. Call now, 713-440-8870, or email us at talk@hellohouston.org to get your comment in on today's topics. Here's Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
Welcome back.
Hello,
Frank,
Houston.
Celeste, I are here with you as we're pledge driving during this week, too.
Yes.
But now the coolest thing, you're going to introduce really fascinating guests.
Yes, absolutely. So through harnessing cutting-edge neuroscience, a pair of Rice University students have managed to develop a low-cost, wearable Vibrotactile Glove to help treat those living with Parkinson's disease. The glove targets the root of the neurological disruption while also replacing costly materials used in other glove designs. Here with us to tell us more is Emmie Casey and Tomi Kuye, undergraduate engineering students at Rice University, who both developed the Vibrotactile Glove. Thank you both for being here with us, and welcome to the show. And y'all actually have it.
Yeah, if
yes,
you're watching us on YouTube, you can see the glove.
Very cool.
Check it on YouTube.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
So let's talk about Parkinson's first and foremost. What's going on with a person and their neurological function who has Parkinson's?
Okay, so the thing about Parkinson's is that the neurons in the person's brain, they start to fire synchronously. when they're supposed to be firing in a very random manner. And so this is what causes the tremors, the freezing that's kind of associated with Parkinson's. And so what our device is then doing is kind of resetting that neural feedback loop that's happening in the brain.
So it's reteaching the brain signals to fire in a random manner rather than the synchronous manner.
Yeah.
Well, I know there are some medicines people can take. Does that medicine do the same thing, or is it not as effective?
So the medication that people take currently that we know of is levodopa, or like dopamine, because Parkinson's caused by a depletion of dopamine. And so taking the dopamine in the pill form is what the medication that people are currently
So that could help
using.
at least take the shakes down.
Yes,
Yeah.
that could help with
the tremors.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so often medical technology can be obviously very expensive and it's very hard to scale. In order for larger groups to have access to these type technologies, why was it so important for you all to make this glove affordable and accessible to others?
Yeah, so currently medication costs about $10,000 annually, and it can cause so many side effects. Yeah, hallucinations, vomiting, nausea, confusion, poor sleep, and like mood swings, and so much more. And the other treatment option is deep brain stimulation. And deep brain stimulation is where electrodes are stuck like 3 to 5 inches inside of your brain.
Yeah, I have a friend that did that.
And 2 control units, which is super scary and invasive. And it can cost $300,000. So we're wanting to make this at a very accessible cost for people. And so, yeah.
So a couple little things here. First of all, so does this replace the need for the medications, or do they work in concert together?
So typically, if you are using the vibration treatment, we don't advise you go off your medication. This is just an alternative treatment that people have seen results from.
And the other part of that is, and these gloves, there have been similar things before, but not in this convenient, small, usable manner, correct?
Exactly. The other ones are really big and really like scary looking. This is, this is much easier, much more affordable.
And you all, I thought this was absolutely fascinating, that going back to that accessibility, like Ernie was saying, obviously there are other gloves or things, devices. You all actually posted how to make your own. And that is fascinating. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I'll tell the story of how we got involved in this project. So my family friend's mother, when I was in high school, had severe early onset Parkinson's. And so she came to my school and said, hey, I need someone who knows how to CAD. Can anyone help me out? So I built a very basic version for her. And so she used it for a couple months, came to Rice. I kind of forgot about the project. And then I did a class in the Rice's Oshman Engineering Design Kitchen. And so through that, Tomi and I created an open source model so that people could make similar gloves like this one for their loved ones. And so their caretaker could make one for their,
Well, looking at it, let's talk about it. So it's very light.
Yes.
If you have Parkinson's, are you going to wear it all the time, or just when you're awake? Even when you sleep, you wear it?
No, so the ideal treatment is using it for 2 hours twice a day. So like 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening.
And then what charges it? Is that a battery pack?
Yes, so inside the little 3D printed case, there's a PCB with a rechargeable
so you just
battery.
plug it in every night?
Yeah.
And then wear it for a couple of hours during the day?
Exactly.
Twice a day, right?
Yes.
The work that it does when you're wearing it continues when you don't have it on?
Yes.
Wow, that's fascinating.
So it's a therapy rather than a treatment.
That's amazing.
Oh, love that. That's the way to put it.
Now, Emmie, you said that you developed this something similar before you got to Rice.
Yes.
So can you tell me a little? I find that fascinating. In a high schooler, have you always loved science, and what did you use at home?
Yeah, so I've always really loved engineering. And so starting in like middle school, I found this place online that made prosthetics. So then I started making my own 3D printed prosthetics, and kind of through that, I got involved in all of this stuff. And so my high school had a lot of great resources, and so I got really in.
And so, Tomi, how did you then get involved with Emmie at Rice?
So we took a class together, and we were both really passionate about medical technology. Before this project, I worked with the pediatric center in Houston to make like custom devices for the kids there. And so, yeah, it was through the OEDK and this class that we started this project.
That's Tomi, Kuye, and Emmie Casey from Rice we're talking to about this fascinating glove that helps control tremors with people who have Parkinson's. Another question, it has the 4 fingers. Does it matter which hand, or do you put it on both hands? Do you have one glove or 2?
It's 2 gloves.
It is 2 gloves,
Yes.
and so you wear them obviously at the same time.
Yes.
Would it pay to this is going to sound kind of crazy, to use them on your toes.
Yeah, we're targeting these Pacinian corpuscles.
Okay.
And so those are found all over your body, but the easiest way to get them are on your fingertips.
On your fingertips.
Some people are looking into top of the hands or on your feet, and they're everywhere, but it seems the easiest. So
I just thought if you're like laying down on the couch,
Yeah.
you want to put them on your feet.
Right.
Now, do they send little electrical pulses?
They're vibrations,
Yes.
really gentle vibrations.
Oh, that's so cool.
Okay, so mass production. Where are we on that? Are they readily available for people to start purchasing them? And in conjunction with that, does it need FDA approval? Where are we in that process?
Okay, so we are currently working on the research and development side. So for research, we're working with kind of going through very low, I don't know, what was it calling it?
Yeah, usability trials, getting feedback from people who are actually using the gloves. Seeing
So
what
not
you
if
can
they
improve.
work or not, but if they're practical and they're
And
comfortable.
so we will
and they're
be
functional.
selling them not as a medical device. And so hopefully we'll have our first batch of 500 out in August. We're currently working with manufacturers and getting everything set up. We're currently a nonprofit, and we almost have the nonprofit tax exempt status, so we're excited about that. And so hopefully we'll be offering these at $250 with subsidizing options available through funding and grants.
And so since they're not a medical device, they don't need FDA approval.
Precisely,
Correct?
yeah.
And so from YouTube, you mentioned this a little bit. Debbie wants to know, how can I get one for my mother-in-law?
So currently you can go on our website and fill out a form. And so that will add you to our email list. So when the gloves are ready to ship.
What's your website?
It's connections.foundation.
And it's Connections with a K.
Connections with a K.
Yeah, KINNECTIONS.
Like kinetic connections. I get it. I get it.
Thank you.
Yes.
What excites you most about this?
I think the thing that excites me the most is just how much of an impact it's going to have on Parkinson's patients. A lot of Parkinson's patients are already looking for alternative therapies, and so this just gives them another option that isn't invasive or like scary looking or scary sounding.
I can't wait to see how it works. I mean, I think it could change lives.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're not obviously not going to Shark Tank with this. You're really in it to help people.
Exactly.
That's right. And for the record, I did put it on my head thinking that it was a massager, and it's not. It goes on your fingertips.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Clearly
fascinating. After this, what are you going to solve for us human species next?
That's right. Emmie, Casey, and Tomi Kuye are both undergraduate engineering students at Rice University. Thank you both for joining us today on Hello Houston and the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Coming up on Hello Houston, we'll talk with City Council member for District A, Amy Peck, and Katie Stone, president of the Cleverly Stone Foundation. And we'll be taking more of your comments on the top stories of the day. This is Hello Houston on News 88.7. The story you just heard was made right here in Houston. It was not imported, not syndicated. Hello Houston lifts up local voices, and you make it happen. Support this one-of-a-kind show now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. And don't forget, gifts that come in during Hello Houston will be doubled. Give now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or by calling 888-909-0887. I'm Celeste Diaz-Sherman here with Ernie Manous.
Thank you, Celeste. You know, every time you tune in, you hear something new, something surprising, something real, just like this whole amazing device that these young geniuses have come up with. We don't tell you what to think. We bring you a range of perspectives and let you decide. And that's rare. That's powerful. And that's worth protecting. Please give and have your donation doubled at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or 888-909-0887.
Stay tuned. There's more Hello Houston on the way with Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Support comes from Houston Grand Opera, presenting Missy Mazzoli's contemporary opera Breaking the Waves, making its Houston debut at the Wortham Center from April 19th through May 4th. Tickets are available at hgo.org.
For this afternoon, we'll have mostly cloudy, getting up to about 84. It's 80. This is your NPR station, KUHF, Houston. News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston.
Just ahead on this hour of Hello Houston, City Council member Emmie Peck, representing District A, joins us to discuss the current issues on her agenda and the work of City Council. I'm Frank Billingsley.
I'm Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and when you talk Houston, you need to talk food. So food journalist Katie Stone joins us for some holiday dining suggestions and the latest in culinary news.
And I'm Ernie Manous, and as always, we want to know your thoughts, questions, and concerns for all our topics and for each of our guests. Give us a call, 713-440-8870, or email us at talk@hellohouston.org.
And remember, you can also watch us on our YouTube channel. Just go to houstonpublicmedia.org and click that big orange banner.
Hello Houston continues right after the news from NPR and News 88.7.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Windsor Johnston. President Trump is meeting with the president of El Salvador at the White House at this hour. During a meeting in the Oval Office, President Nayib Bukele said he cannot return a migrant from Maryland who was wrongfully deported to El Salvador.
Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia was mistakenly deported by Immigration and Customs Enforcement in March, despite a Supreme Court ruling directing the Trump administration to facilitate his return. El Salvador maintains custody of him. The man's family continues to push for his release, stressing his lack of criminal history and the dangers he faces in El Salvador. The House and Senate will try to advance a spending bill this week without exploding the deficit. NPR's Mara Liasson reports the House narrowly passed the budget framework last week that calls for extending tax cuts while allowing for trillions of dollars in federal borrowing.
This week, lawmakers from both chambers need to figure out how to make the numbers add up. One option is using a budgetary sleight of hand and simply declaring that the tax cuts don't add to the deficit. Or, if lawmakers really want to reduce spending, they could cut Medicaid. But many Republicans and President Trump have promised not to do that. The other pressure on lawmakers is that the bond market is raising yields, the interest bondholders charge for financing U.S. debt, because, among other things, it doesn't see the U.S. getting its fiscal house in order. In other words, bondholders see the U.S. debt getting bigger and bigger with no credible plan to rein it in. Mara Liasson, NPR News.
Russia is defending Sunday's missile strikes on the Ukrainian city of Sumy, while Ukraine says the attacks killed 34 civilians and wounded more than 100 more. Russia says it was legitimately targeting a military installation. NPR's Charles Maines reports from Moscow.
In a statement, Russia's defense ministry said its forces had successfully fired 2 Iskander-M tactical missiles at a gathering of Ukrainian military officers in Sumy. The ministry tacitly acknowledged civilian casualties as well, accusing Ukraine of using civilians as human shields by placing military targets in densely populated areas. Ukraine has demanded a tough international response over the attack, which came amid wider U.S. efforts to negotiate a peace in Ukraine. President Trump condemned the airstrike as horrible, but suggested Russia had mistakenly hit civilians. Trump administration officials also point to the Sumy attack as the latest reason why they're working to end the conflict. Charles Maines, NPR News, Moscow.
Stocks are trading higher on Wall Street at this hour. The Dow is up 140 points. This is NPR News in Washington.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Matt Thomas. A lot of people from around the Houston area have turned out for a memorial for champion boxer George Foreman downtown. News 88.7's Tom Perumian is tracking the service, which is underway. It's at the Cullen Theater at Wortham Center. It brought out many notables from Foreman's life growing up in the 5th Ward and from his boxing career. Mayor John Whitmire, flanked by Pastor George Foreman IV, just a couple of those on hand as the service got underway about an hour ago. And we will continue to bring you updates on that service and get reaction throughout the day here on News 88.7. Meanwhile, the passing of former Houston Mayor and Congressman Sylvester Turner leaves that vacancy in Congress we've been talking about. Candidate Amanda Edwards says time is ticking and they need to have representation in Washington as soon as possible.
800,000 people. I just keep going back to that number. Think about that. That's a city. No representation, no federal advocate, no vote. None of those things are happening right now for those individuals.
Governor Greg Abbott scheduled the election under pressure for November 4th after first missing a deadline. Authorities are continuing to investigate a shooting that left one person dead and 7 people hurt over the weekend in northeast Harris County. Multiple outlets report over 100 people were in attendance at a gas station off of Crosby and Lynchburg. 5 men and 2 women were shot during that fight. It's also unknown what the shooting was all about to begin with. Checking out the weather, sunny with a high near 84 degrees this afternoon. Some areas could be a little bit warmer than that. And then increasing clouds tonight with a low of 65. I'm Matt Thomas, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Charles Schwab, offering investors choices like full-service wealth management, advice, investing, and trading on Thinkorswim. Learn more at schwab.com. And from the Doris Duke Foundation.
Live from the University of Houston, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's your hosts for Hello Houston, Ernie Manous, Celestia Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
Hello there, as we bring you into the noon hour on this Monday here. You're all waving to the cameras. They're waving to the cameras because we are on YouTube. And if you're just listening to the show and not watching us, at the end of our last segment, we had those students from Rice that are fascinating who brought in this glove to help aid in Parkinson, and we were able to show it on the camera. So check us out on YouTube or go to HoustonPublicMedia.org and click the banner there, and you can see the glove. Also, earlier we were talking about this metro line.
Yeah,
was
straight from GRB to the airport.
And back again. Yep. And we asked for your calls, comments at 713-440-8870. Jack is on the phone from Montrose. Jack, what's on your mind today?
Well, I think it's a great thing that they're putting this bus to go to the airport, but they're only serving the tourists. They're not serving the people who live here in Houston. It should connect to the downtown transit center, or at least the Red Line, where a lot more people are traveling. And this is another example of Metro doing things without public input.
Yeah,
good point.
It's a good comment. Yeah,
yeah. But also, as we were talking in the first hour, the Metro line was originally, as I understood, it's supposed to go from downtown to the airport. But then you get into variances in property ownership and all of that, and things get shortened and cut and all that. Yep. And so we end up with what we had. Jack, thank you for your comments. I hope they'll consider that. It's a bus; they can go anywhere with it. So maybe once this starts going, they may make another stop somewhere more centrally located. But now on to, let me first say, got a big hour ahead of us still.
Yes.
Even though this is our second hour. City Council member from District A, Emmie Peck, is going to be here taking your calls and questions at 713-440-8870. Or you can email us, hellohouston.org. Celeste and I are having trouble with websites today.
Yes.
But on to the topics of the day. Celeste, start us off.
Well, our government officials are really working hard and coming together to handle these very complex and important issues like ending daylight savings time.
Those
That's
pressing
right.
issues.
It's those ones. That's right. Even President Trump is getting behind Stop the Clock, which would end the practice of changing the time twice a year to account for the shifting seasons. On Thursday, April 10th, lawmakers from both sides gathered for the Senate Commerce Committee hearing. Our very own Republican Senator Ted Cruz is the chairman and spoke on the economic impacts, the risks that are often tied through transportation with daylight savings, and the effects on families, and how it simply can just be bad for one's health.
Research has shown that the abrupt shift in time, especially the spring transition when we lose an hour of sleep, disrupts our internal circadian rhythms and causes sleep deprivation. This leads to increased risks of health problems, including higher rates of heart attacks, strokes, and even car accidents immediately following the time change.
Democratic Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester said it's also time to figure this out. Are you in favor of making daylight savings permanent? Give us a call, 713-440-8870.
Well, I
don't know why I think
First
Frank
of all,
would be on this.
Okay, some people travel to the East Coast or to the West Coast every week.
Mm-hmm.
And their circadian rhythm seems to be just fine. So this idea that changing your clocks 1 hour every 6 months is going to throw the whole world off, I just don't buy it. I'd like to see the research.
I am still tired from the spring change.
Oh, come on.
It throws me off.
There is a ton of research, Frank, that basically shows that an hour can be very disruptive.
People go to Puerto Vallarta all the time, and the hour changes, and they come right back.
Yes.
And they don't complain about that when they're trying to get to work on Monday morning, do they?
Right, Frank,
People or Frank Billingsley goes and has nothing to do.
Frank, take me back a little bit. Do you have a little history on time change? Like, do you know why because I think people believe it's for farmers and crops, but that may not be accurate.
You know, Benjamin Franklin first said we should do this because it would, with all the extra daylight, we would use a lot less candle wax, right? It would save lots of paraffin. It was never done. But then to give munitions workers in the factories making munitions for World War I, they did start it and gave them extra time. And the same thing happened in World War II. Then in 1965, it was made permanent for our country. We tried to roll it back in 1973. Nixon did, 72, 73, and it was a disaster. And let me tell you why. Because like today, our sun came up at 6:55 a.m., so 7 a.m., and it goes down at 7:48, right? June 21st, the quote-unquote longest day of the year, which has the most daylight, 6:21, 8:25. If you don't change it, then for us, on December 21st, the sun will come up at 8:12 a.m. It will go down at 6:26. But it comes up at 8:12. In fact, from December 2nd to February 15th, for us, the sun comes up at 8 in the morning or later. Now, you go up to Seattle to Minneapolis, it comes up at 9 a.m. That's a lot of darkness for people trying to get to work between 6:30 and 8 o'clock, kids trying to get to school, any kind of commute. You want to talk about more car accidents? More car accidents are going to happen in the winter, and more children's lives are going to be at stake because they're going to be walking to the bus stop in the dark. They're going to be standing at the bus stop in the dark. This is why it was such a failure in the early 70s. That's what happened. Well, and it's like, I remember it. So yes, I'm very passionate.
Very passionate.
You know what? But I not only have the problem, I have the solution.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Right. Change it a half an hour and then leave it. A half an hour? No, there are countries that do a half an hour.
Change it a half hour, just once and be done.
Half an hour and then never change it again. And that will be a good compromise because then we wouldn't have an 8:15 as our latest sunrise. We would have 7:45.
Well, during this hearing on Thursday, multiple senators from different states did say that they are in agreement to making adjustments to it
half an hour is the
based
adjustment.
on the different ways the sun rises and goes down in different states.
Then Frank will be happy.
You're going to say you heard it here
happy.
first on Hello Houston. Half an hour and let it be.
On YouTube, Alex commented, fall back one more time and that's it. He's not a fan of
but fall back one more time, half an hour. And then that's it.
I think you're going to have a hard sell with the half hour.
No, there are countries that do half an hour.
And
there are places that do. You know, in Mexico now you get to pick.
That's right.
Cancun goes with Miami time, East Coast time, whereas Belize, south of them, stays on Central.
That's right. And we are always inviting you to the conversation. Give us a call, 713-440-8870. Claire from Westbury is on the line. Hi, Claire. What is your comment or question?
Hi. I just wanted to say with all politeness, the individual who said that it doesn't affect anybody clearly doesn't have kids. I have a 3-year-old, and I was shocked at how much it affects him every year. It's a nightmare.
Both going in, like fall back and spring forward, both affect him?
Really, this one when we
spring
I
forward.
go to bed an hour later. Yeah,
Claire, I act like a 3-year-old sometimes, and I feel it. I still am not back in my sink since the last time we shifted.
Are we doing polls on our website yet? I would love a poll on this.
We should put this up on our Instagram.
We need to reach out to the White House to get the person that makes the president's graphs to go through the graph you just gave us of all the time.
I will say on Thursday, some of the points that Senator Ted Cruz did bring up, one of the major ones, to your point, Claire, was the effect that it has on families.
Mm-hmm.
And as somebody who has 2 young children, same, Claire, same.
You're right there with her.
Right there with you.
But it's usually right around spring break, which should help a little bit, but maybe not.
It's just
especially if you're going to Cancun or Puerto Vallarta, you get confused.
Isn't it the first Saturday in March when we change it back?
I would rather, and then we can move on, but I would rather have a 6-hour jet lag difference than a 1 or 2 hour different change. And that is because
I think I agree with you on that.
It is so much harder to do 1 hour versus just getting yourself back into a full swing or a rhythm.
Yeah. Okay.
Half an hour.
Moving on to another very serious story. The Trump administration admitted that it wrongfully deported a man named Kumar Abrego Garcia. It has also been argued that courts cannot compel the U.S. government to return him to this country. The U.S. Supreme Court has unanimously determined that the government must facilitate, interesting choice of words, his release from the El Salvador prison where he is being held, but the Department of Justice has so far only confirmed his presence at the prison. If he is not returned to this country to face due process, people following this case point out a troubling implication. The government could potentially send anyone to a foreign prison, regardless of citizenship, with no legal recourse. What are your comments? What do you think? Does this give the Trump administration a free pass to deport without any recourse? 713-440-8870.
So I believe just as of this morning, within minutes ago, the president of El Salvador says he will not return mistakenly deported man to the U.S.
I know that they were meeting during this time.
They were meeting during this time.
And he won't do that?
What is the reasoning? Do we know yet?
We don't know yet, but he did tell reporters during a meeting with President Donald Trump earlier today, that he would not return a man. The Justice Department said it mistakenly deported to his country.
That's as horrible as it is sad.
I'm guessing I don't know all the nuance of this case because I cannot understand why, if someone was wrongfully sent to a prison, why that person can just not be returned. I don't understand why.
They may not be alive, Ernie.
I don't want to speculate that because we
that's
are a
what
news
everybody's
station.
suggesting.
But you have to wonder what is going on here.
It's not a prison that you go to become rehabilitated, from what I've read.
And Garcia has never been charged criminally in the U.S. or El Salvador.
No due process. No due process.
I
Just
don't
pulled up in a
understand
nice
this case.
sweep and sent there with. And now the 9-0, the Supreme Court has said get him back.
They have said, well, it's interesting, they've chose the word facilitate the return, not demanded the return, which is an interesting choice to say you must engage in the process of return, but they are not being held yet at this point by the Supreme Court to return.
And then when President Bukele says no, then that's the final word, that the Salvadoran president gets to decide this?
The Justice Department officials have acknowledged that Garcia should not have been sent to El Salvador because of an immigration judge's 2019 order barring him from being sent there. And so I think the question now becomes, what happens next? If the El Salvadorian president has said he will not be returning.
So, of course, that leads me back to all of you. Give us a call. What do you think on this case? Extremely, I think, disturbing. And I just don't know why I don't understand more of what's going on here. I follow the news, and this just flummoxes me. 713-440-8870.
It's almost like anybody can be taken and sent away.
Yeah, that's how it feels. You see this in Banana Republics. You see this in movies that show these.
And as somebody who has lived in other countries, one of the things that makes the United States different from anywhere else in the world is that when you are in this country, you feel to a certain extent protected. that there are protections around you, that you can call 911 and that the police will show up. Or an ambulance will show up.
That you're innocent until proven guilty.
And so the fact that this is happening is
that
quite
you get
alarming.
a jury of your peers, or at least a fair judge, one of the two.
And I don't want to belabor this any longer than we already have, but outside of all of what we're talking about, the last part being, well, if we request them sent back, we sent them there.
Right.
We have made an error. Please return.
No.
And no.
The
And then
answer is
it's
no.
like, sorry, can't get them back. There seems like there's got to be something else at play that I just don't understand.
I don't think it's good
I think
news.
there's a lot
No,
of strategy behind the Trump administration that likes power plays, and they like to show who's in charge. And now,
But they have admitted
we're essentially getting a
that
little
they were
dose.
wrongfully sent. It wasn't one of those cases where they won't
Correct.
even admit they made a mistake. They're saying, something happened here. This person should be returned. They're
Well,
not.
My heart goes out to his family.
Absolutely. Call us if you have an opinion on this, please. 713-440-8870. In the meantime, in 2010, NASA retired 4 space shuttles, sending them across the United States as a historical reminder of the nation's space history. But alas, none are here in Houston. I know. We have NASA, we have Johnson Space Center, we have lots of people interested in the space program, but we have no shuttles. But it looks like a decade later, John Cornyn and Ted Cruz have introduced a bill to bring one of the shuttles back home. Do you agree with that? 713-440-8870. Seems to me like we deserve one, don't you think?
Well, I almost feel like, yes, of course, I think we deserve one. But you could look at it as we have NASA. We have the Johnson Space Center.
Everything but the shuttle.
So these are like
Yeah,
souvenirs from what we did that we gave to friends. Because we have the technology and the genius here. Here, you can have a shuttle, and you can have a shuttle, and you can have.
Well, and this
so
one is
I'm okay with it.
This one's in Virginia,
right?
So I would be interested to know: does anybody go see it in Virginia? I mean, is it just sitting there? And yes, you could pay $15 or whatever and go
walk through it.
But is anybody doing it? I don't even know where it is in Virginia. Yeah. Is it in the Smithsonian? Is it near something?
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know, but I do think. What do you think, Celeste? Should we have would you take your kids to see the space shuttle if it was here?
Absolutely.
I would go.
I
I would
think
go.
it'd be so cool.
Celeste, would you take your Frank to go and see it too?
Take me
I
with
would
you?
take Frank.
Well, I love your
A
kids.
little field trip.
They call me Mr.
Frank. That's right.
I will tell you that wasn't the only story that involves space that's been out there today.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
quickly, good news. Katy Perry and Gayle King have both
goodness.
returned from outer space. Some of you may not have known they went to outer space.
10 minutes, right?
The whole
Lift
thing, I
off
will
the-
tell you this.
the whole thing?
I was watching it
I
on the
did too.
TV in my bathroom while I took my shower. I
Thought you
took
were
a
saying-
shower in the same amount of time. Gayle King and Katy Perry went to space and returned. So who uses their time better? I'd have to say Katy Perry and
That is a
Gayle
shower
King.
and not
They
something
went
else.
up on a Blue Origin spaceship today in an all-female crew,
was very
which
cool
I
to
think was
watch.
really
That's
kind of
so
neat.
cool.
A couple scientists, an astronaut, trained astronaut, and then Jeff Bezos' girlfriend got to go too. She's
62 miles up.
fiance, former
Fiancé.
journalist herself. They went up. They were waitlist for 3 minutes. Katy Perry, I think, sang a song, and they came back. There
So
you go.
nice.
Amazing.
So nice what our deserts are being used for these days.
Would you go if
No.
you were invited?
Nope.
Me either. Nope.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even,
Celeste, you going?
I wouldn't even helicopter to the site to get on the shuttle or whatever.
I don't
the
like
rocket.
flying. I'm not a big fan of flying. And one time I jumped out of a plane doing parachuting.
Oh, you did it.
I did it once. I will never do it again. It was fine. It was safe. I landed on the ground okay, so I don't want to disparage that industry, but not for me.
Coming up on Hello Houston, we talk with Houston City Council member for District A, Emmie Peck. And we're also taking your calls on any of today's topics at 713-440-8870. This is Hello Houston on News 88.7. We're currently in our spring fundraising, and right now is a great time to give. Right now, your gift will be doubled, but only for the next 40 minutes. Giving is super easy. Calling or going online will only take a few minutes, and it will make a huge difference for our station and our community. Make your gift right now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. I'm Celeste Diaz-Sherman here with Ernie Manous.
That's right. Making your gift either one time or starting a monthly gift is easy to do. And when you do that right now, as Celeste mentioned, your donation is doubled. starting a monthly gift of $10, $20, or $30 a month, and that is doubled for an entire year. So if you've been waiting for a reason to give right now. It's easy. Just go to houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or by calling 888-909-0887.
And the most wonderful thing about public media is it's available to everyone. Not everyone has the ability to make a gift right now, and we understand that, and that is okay. So I'm asking you, if you can make a gift to the station our community relies on, do that now. Your support will help to overcome any shortfall that may arise should there be a reduction in federal funding for public media, or with the economic uncertainty we are currently facing.
888-909-0887 or houstonpublicmedia.org. Now, maybe you have the ability to make a bigger gift. Join our studio society by making a gift of $1,200, just $100 a month, $25 a week. Or maybe even a bigger gift. When you give $5,000, you will join Houston Public Media's Affinity Council. If you have the ability, make that donation right now. And remember, it gets doubled right now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or by calling 888-909-0887.
Monthly donations are a great and convenient way to give. If $10 or $20 a month works well for you, make a quick and easy gift that allows us to plan ahead so that we can keep you informed no matter what the future holds. And don't forget, right now your monthly gifts are doubled for an entire year. Just give at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or give us a call. Pick up that phone, 888-909-0887.
Houston Public Media brings to you PBS World, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on TV 8.6. Experience the personal connection behind the headlines with programming devoted to telling stories that humanize complex issues. PBS World helps us understand the movements, conflicts, and cultures that connect us all. PBS World on TV 8.6 and online at houstonpublicmedia.org.
When you hear a story on Houston Public Media, you know it's been carefully reviewed and put together by journalists who take the time to get it right.
Your support helps keep our reporting clear, balanced, and factual.
Because when you have all the facts, you can make better decisions for yourself, your family, and your future.
Protect the news that you rely on. Give now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
Support comes from GiveMeTheVIN.com. Purchasing vehicles online with the VIN or license plate and photos, or by bringing the vehicle to Houston area offices. Details at GiveMeTheVIN.com. Support comes from GenPro, a Houston-based home generator service providing power to homes during unexpected outages, helping with connectivity and productivity. More information is available at genpro.com. Support comes from DePelchin Children's Center. April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and for more than 130 years, DePelchin has worked to ensure that Houston area children are part of safe and loving families. Learn more at depelchin.org. Support comes from John Moore, helping with plumbing, electrical, and air conditioning repairs, including out-of-warranty units since 1965. Details at 730-2525 or at johnmooreservices.com.
And now back to Hello Houston. Call now, 713-440-8870, or email us at talk@hellohouston.org to get your comment in on today's topics. Here's Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
Hello, Houston.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello, Celeste. I'm Ernie here with Celeste and Frank. Now, you may not know this, but you probably do. Hello Houston is designed to be a platform for local, state, and federal leaders to openly discuss their policies. It's also a platform for you, our listeners, to join in on the discussions and ask the questions on issues that matter to you. So today, we welcome City Council member Emmie Peck. She represents District A at City Hall. If you have a question or would like to join in the conversation, give us a call, 713-440-8870. Council member, good morning and welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you. Let's just establish it first. Where exactly is District A? And you have some interesting tentacles that come off your district.
We absolutely do. District A is northwest Houston. We go on the north side of I-10 from about Fry Road, where city limits ends, all the way to 610 Loop, a little bit south of I-10, and then all the way up to 90. So it's basically Spring Branch, Inwood, and a little bit of Memorial.
And how many people roughly?
Over 220,000 people.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Okay, I guess the first thing, in that area, we've seen a lot of growth, a lot of development. From your position, how do we balance off the economic concerns of growing industry and retail in that area, but also making it affordable, livable for residents?
Absolutely. District A is one of the fastest growing areas of Houston, especially in Spring Branch. We've seen just a boom when it comes to not only residential, but businesses as well. And it's been great, but at the same time, there's some growing pains as well. So we really have to look at that balance as far as, as new businesses, new homes are coming in, what that looks like for the existing infrastructure, the roads, the drainage, that kind of thing. So it's a bit of, give and take. It's great, but there's also items on the city level that we need to address as well.
So how does zoning then play into that? If you want to build up along that I-10 corridor, but you also think about residents and families and all that, how do you make that balance?
Yeah, it is a balance, and especially without zoning in the city of Houston, we have to look at that kind of thing as businesses are coming in. What do deed restrictions say? We watch the Planning Commission very, very closely to make sure that there's no deed restriction issues as people are building and new places are coming in.
So I guess ultimately what I'm trying to figure out is there a percentage? Do you say we want to bring in this much percentage of the area to be business? Are we looking for this growth in homes? Or is it more, am I thinking of it too logically and linearly?
Well, since at the city there's no zoning, it's kind of, people are coming in and they're looking at those stats and seeing what makes sense as far as businesses, grocery stores, what could be supported in that area. And then as home builders are looking at the same information too. So it's kind of both. You need the residents to support the businesses and the businesses to support the residents.
And it seems like with the HOAs, the city council pretty much follows the HOA to the letter of the contract. If you have an HOA that has an iron fist, the city council is going to back that HOA with the iron fist. If you have one that has a lot of loopholes and isn't so strong, city council is going to vote with that one.
Yeah, and there's a lot of neighborhoods, especially older neighborhoods, that maybe their deed restrictions were written in a way where there are a lot of loopholes. And so there are certain aspects of deed restrictions that the city can enforce, and there are certain ones that it's a covenant between you and your neighbors that the city doesn't enforce. And so the ones that we can enforce, we look at that very closely to see if it's written in a way that can be enforced.
You're Vice Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
So you have to have strong opinions on the current budget issues.
Absolutely.
There was a pause.
Sure.
See that?
Yeah.
I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
I just want to know what you think.
Yeah, I think that the efficiency study that came out recently really shows a lot of areas that the city needs to work on. And I'm really glad that we did this efficiency study. Something I've said for years and years that we need some kind of review process, an audit, an efficiency study, a sunset review program, any of those would be great. And so, we finally did it in a way that actually is yielding real results, which is great because the city has done other studies in the past that nothing has come from it. But this, we're actually seeing tangible results from that study. So we need to implement all of those efficiencies and then see where we are with the budget at that point. But it's a lot of money to make up. $330 million is a lot of money.
And the Houston Health Department is losing $42 million in federal funding. Could City Health Services be impacted by these cuts?
I think that it's yet to be seen what the impact is going to be with any kind of federal cuts, with any kind of state cuts that we're probably going to see.
Are you all preparing for this?
Yes. It still is questionable as far as what might be cut and what might not be cut. But most of the department, most of the budget from the health department doesn't come from city financing. It comes from grants. It comes from other sources. And so to lose a ton of money from grants, there's nothing really to make it up with at the city level. So it's concerning for sure.
When is the deadline for employees to take the buyout?
It's at the end of this month.
And do you know Do you have an idea right now of how many are thinking of taking it, or all of them going to take it?
I believe about 700 people, if I have that number correct, have taken it so far, but they still have a little bit longer to make that decision.
So what savings would we get out of 700?
So we're talking about millions of dollars of
Sure.
savings. To take that package and to obviously we don't want to lose employees, but it's a good package for someone who is maybe thinking about retiring. And then all of those positions would kind of just be absorbed and reallocated to other positions. So I'm happy with it. I did a budget amendment about that a few years ago to see how we can implement this. So I'm glad the mayor, really is trying to find creative ways to reduce the budget.
We're speaking with Houston City Council member Emmie Peck, and we're taking your calls, 713-440-8870. Bob is on the line from Spring Branch. Bob, what's on your mind?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Hey, maybe City Councilwoman, you can help us. Interstate 10, the eastbound lanes, the Bunker Hill exit over there by Memorial City Mall, there's 4 exit lights above that exit, and 3 of them haven't worked for 3 years. The city of Houston has told me numerous times that it's not their responsibility, and TxDOT has likewise told me numerous times that it's not their responsibility. Obviously, it's someone's responsibility. Can you maybe take ownership of this issue, dig into it?
And so you're talking about is this on the south side of I-10 or the north side of I-10 at Bunker Hill?
The south side, right next to Ciro's, that restaurant there.
Okay, yeah. That's not quite in District A. It's just on the other side of I-10, but we are happy to work on it and work with your council member on that. And so anytime something like that happens where, one entity is saying it's not ours and another entity is saying it's not ours either, we ask you to please contact my office because we can get to the bottom of exactly whose problem it is and who needs to fix it. So please contact us, 832-393-3010. We are absolutely happy to help.
So you run marathons.
Yes.
Yes, and you're on the Quality of Life Committee.
Yes.
You have to tell me what you think about this bike lane issue that's been going on.
So, for the bike lanes, we have a lot of roads that need to be fixed and not a lot of money to do it. We have drainage issues, we have road issues, all kinds of things that really need to be fixed. And so when we have a limited amount of money to add bike lanes to something where sometimes it just doesn't make any sense, just to add a bike lane, we should definitely look at using that money in another manner. I think some areas, bike lanes might make sense. We're looking at one in District A where it's connecting a neighborhood to a park. And so that's a scenario where it kind of makes sense to do a bike lane. Other scenarios, I'm not sure that, it's not really connecting bike lanes to bike lanes. It's just a bike lane to nowhere. And we really need to take a look at those carefully.
In Paris, France, they have lots of bike roads, and they have just voted to put another 500 roads as bike roads. And if you look at the pollution that has really gone down so dramatically from 2010 to now to 2023, it's remarkable. It is. If you're looking for a Clean Air Act, that is one way to do it. Now, they use them for not just recreation but transportation. But has the city ever looked at dedicating an entire road to a bike lane as far as not just taking part of a road?
Well, we do have shared use paths, and in my opinion, that makes sense in a lot of areas.
The Heights has one.
Yeah, where it's kind of a sidewalk. It's kind of an area where people can either walk or bike, and it's not taking up a lane of traffic.
Correct.
And I think that is the concern because yes, we want clean air, but at the same time, people aren't necessarily biking to work in the middle of summer. It's just too hot. And so, people might do it, a little bit throughout the year, but when it's something that they're not using consistently, it makes it difficult from a financial perspective to make that case to build those lanes.
I guess part of the problem in that, and that listeners will remind us, is that, for example, in Austin, the lane's already there, the bike lane, and it's being torn up, which obviously costs money. So doesn't it make sense just to leave what's there? The lower cost of repair is probably still cheaper than tearing it back up. I think people are feeling as though City Hall is going after these bike lanes as opposed to just not investing in new ones.
Yeah, and the ones that are being torn up, it's not in my council district, so I can't say with certainty exactly what's happening there.
I just want to clarify the point that's being talked about.
And I think that there's safety concerns on some of those bike lanes that I've heard that are looking at being torn up, where people are getting into accidents perhaps because of the bike lane. So in that respect, it makes sense to rip something up if it's not safe. But I think you're right. If there's no safety concerns, not really much maintenance, it might make sense just to leave some of those alone and maybe not build new ones, but not leave, just to leave the ones alone. But I believe that there's been some safety concerns on some of those.
We're speaking with Council Member Peck of District A. You can give us a call at 713-440-8870 to join the conversation. Selena is on the line from East Aldine. Hi, Selena. What is your question or comment for City Council Member Peck?
Hi, Council Member Peck. Thanks so much for taking my call.
Thank you.
I just have a real quick question. We're having an issue with water system number 74 that has going
I think we have a bad connection.
Yeah, Selena, if you could either try calling back or emailing us the question, the phone line was breaking up there.
I think she was going after a water district question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it was. Of course, flooding is the number one concern. And we haven't had a lot of flooding lately, but I can tell you, as a weatherman for 40 years, flooding in this city is the number one concern.
Which makes me wonder, what are some of the things that are keeping you up at night, Councilmember Peck, when you think about your district, when you're looking at District A?
Drainage and crime. I mean, those are the top two concerns that we get to my office. It's the things that keep me up at night for sure, making sure that we have enough police officers, and making sure that our drainage projects continue to move forward and make sure that people are mitigated when it comes to flooding.
Where are some of your drainage projects that are happening right now in your district?
So we have several. We have the Inwood Forest Detention Basin project, which is a huge project that we've partnered with Harris County Flood Control and the federal government. It's going to add about 1,000 acre feet of detention for that entire area, which is so needed and very exciting. We also have other projects coming up soon. Chateau Forest is getting a neighborhood drainage project soon. And then we have others where there's been significant engineering issues trying to make sure that we have places to put the water. And so neighborhoods like Spring Shadows, we've been working very closely on moving those projects forward as well.
Well, and you have to also address the not just the drainage issue, but the water issues, the pipes breaking, and the fact that we're running out of water in this state.
The pipes breaking, that has been a huge issue, and I know that the city is looking to the state to try to get some funding for that as well. This has just been pushed so many years down the road as far as getting this fixed, but it's happening now where we can't just keep repairing things. We need to actually fix it. It's not just the water lines. When those break, then we have sinkholes on the street and all kinds of other issues. So it's just a ripple effect that we have to get those pipes actually fixed.
We have a call from Claudia from Spring Branch. Hi, Claudia. What is on your mind?
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Councilwoman Peck, I live very in your district in Spring Branch at around Bingle and Mora or Hammerly. And I see a lot of beautification efforts around the city, uptown, the Heights, but very little attention has been given to beautifying our area in Spring Branch. And I've been living in Spring Branch since 2019, and I've noticed that since the pandemic, our area has, even though it's the fastest growing area, like you said, it has declined a bit in terms of its beauty, its walking spaces, nature spots. We have a trail that is in the area, but it's never been finished.
Claudia, I'm going to jump in right here to give the council person a chance to address your concerns. Councilwoman.
Yeah, so a lot of the beautification that you see throughout the city, it's being done by management districts. We have a great management district in Spring Branch, the Spring Branch Management District, who they were doing a great job with a lot of the beautification projects. And then, there were freezes and other things that kind of a lot of the plants and flowers died. They kind of went back to the drawing board and used it as an opportunity to kind of reimagine the medians and other, planting that they have in the area. and they have been working on that plan and implementing that soon. So we should see hopefully a spike in, the amount of trees and flowers and all that in the medians that they are planting. And the walking trail, the Spring Branch Trail, which we're really excited about. We have another phase that we're doing the ribbon cutting. Actually, I believe it's later this month. And so those phases are getting done. There was another segment where there were some engineering concerns that we're working on as well.
Councilmember Amy Peck represents District A. Councilmember Peck, thank you so much for joining us on Hello Houston.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Coming up on Hello Houston, we'll be talking with Houston foodie friends Katie Stone. This is Hello Houston on News 88.7. Thanks for tuning in during Hello Houston. We are in our spring fundraising campaign, and this is the time where we turn to our community and ask you to think about how much you rely on this station. How much do you rely on the information you get from our programming? You rely on Houston Public Media to keep you informed, and right now you can make your gift go twice as far. Every donation is doubled, but only for the next 15-ish minutes. Give now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or give us a call, 888-909-0887. I'm Celestia Sherman here with Frank Billingsley.
All right, thank you, Celeste. Here's the great news. Making your gift is super easy. Just calling or going online will only take a few minutes, and it will make a huge difference for our station and our community. So give now and you get your donation doubled at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
We truly are here to serve Greater Houston, especially when other funding is unstable. Your gift ensures we stay strong, independent, and most importantly, here for you. Please give now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
Monthly donations are the most impactful way to give. A lot of people are giving $10 or $20 a month, and that works very well. And when you give monthly, it allows us to plan ahead so that we can keep you informed, no matter what the future holds. So try giving $10 or $20 a month. And right now, your monthly gifts are doubled for an entire year. So just give at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
This is the great thing about public media. It's available to everyone. Not everyone has the ability to make a gift now, and that's okay. So I'm asking you, if you can make a gift to the station our community relies on, do that now. Give for you and give for your neighbors and get your donation doubled at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
That's right. You could get your donation matched, but only for about the next 14 minutes to the top of the hour while Hello Houston's on. So giving is super easy. We have someone waiting to take your call, and giving online is also a great option. Just take a look at our Houston Public Media swag. You can select a water bottle, a denim cap, some socks. How about that?
That's right.
I know.
Love it.
Cool. We have cool caps, water bottles, and socks. So make your donation right now. HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
Houston Public Media provides a free, essential, and trusted public service to everyone in Southeast Texas. The generosity of our Affinity Council Committee enables us to bring inspiration, insight, and connection through public media. Nadine Barch, Linda Dodge, Sandy Henderson and Al Federick, Beverly McPhail and Kevin Coolish, Ashwin Shaw. Thank you.
Access to information is your right, not a privilege, and it isn't something you should take for granted. Reliable, vetted reporting matters, especially now.
Houston Public Media keeps you connected to what's happening in Greater Houston, the country, and around the world. But we rely on your support to make it possible.
This is your chance to stand up for the kind of journalism that protects your right to be informed.
Give now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
I'm Matt Hara, morning anchor here at Houston Public Media. Some of the Houston events that have been memorable to me, obviously Hurricane Beryl comes to mind this last year, not only as a news anchor, getting people prepared in the days leading up to the storm and the recovery afterwards, but also the actual broadcast broadcast itself during the storm, as the eye was coming right up I-45. That story really pops out. I remember the big moment also when it was announced that HISD was being taken over by the state of Texas. We had special coverage for that moment as well.
Support comes from the Dan L. Duncan Comprehensive Cancer Center at Baylor St. Luke's Medical Center, offering comprehensive cancer care that is compassionate, personalized, and driven by clinical research. More at stlukeshealth.org/cancer.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Specs. 63 years of large selection. Now that's worth toasting to. Offering anniversary selections all month long. Details at specsonline.com. The fun starts here.
And now back to Hello Houston. Call 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org to get your comment in on today's topics. Now back to Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
All right. Welcome back to Hello Houston. I'm Frank Billingsley here with Celeste Diaz-Sherman. Hello.
Hello.
And Ernie Manous.
Hello.
Hello. All right, as we've mentioned before on the show, and you probably know this, Houston is notorious for its vibrant and diverse restaurant scene, making it a destination for foodies who use their platforms to highlight various spots around town that they think are worth checking out. So much like our next guest, Katie Stone, president of the Cleverly Stone Foundation, which produces Houston Restaurant Weeks, Houston's most popular foodie event and largest annual fundraiser, as well as its sister event, Eat, Drink, HTX. And Katie also hosts the Fox 26 Foodies and Friends, which showcases popular restaurants in the city. Katie, hello. Welcome to Hello Houston.
Hey, guys.
We're glad you're here.
Welcome.
Nice to see you guys.
So you're on Fox 26 with Foodies and Friends. Who have you been highlighting, both chefs and restaurants lately?
Oh, yes. So I recently just did a 2-part interview with Chris Shepard from Southern Smoke. And, this was a really fun one because Foodies and Friends is a very high energy. We like to play with our food. We like to, celebrate the spiciness. We go a little crazy sometimes. We go on, in between lunch and dinner so we don't offend any dining folks who are saying, who are these crazy people broadcasting, right? But it's, it's fun. And so Chris Shepard was a fun interview. We did a 2-part series, and believe it or not, we didn't talk about food at all.
Oh, what did you talk about?
We didn't look at food at all. And this was something my producers were like, we don't know what you're talking about doing an episode with one of the most famous chefs in the world and not talking about food, but that's what we did, and it ended up being really good. There's a lot going on in Houston that affects the restaurant industry. A lot of people. This is upwards of 15% of the state's workforce is in the hospitality industry, and so that's 15 people for every 100 that are being greatly impacted by, high prices and trouble with staffing and trouble with landlords, and it's a tough time right now.
I'll get to all of the more nuts and boltsy and the serious stuff and the work you do and the charity and all of that and Houston Restaurant Weeks, but I got to start with what always is our dilemma in my life. We live in a city with more restaurants, I think, than any other city per capita, and we always go to the same 3 or 4 restaurants every single time. How do we wake up and get out there and experience the world around us?
I know. And it's the same thing with like Netflix.
Yeah.
You go and you want to watch a movie, and then next thing you know, you're 47 minutes in, still scrolling, trying to find.
Just adding to my queue. I never watch them. I just add them all the time.
I'm the same way. And I'm also the one that probably had my 7th visit in the last 14 days to Chow Walk at Westheimer and Derry Ashford. So I get it totally. Yeah. That's one of the challenges for the restaurants is it is kind of a saturated industry, and everybody thinks, it's an easy thing to do. You make food, you sell it, you go home with all the money. Well, it's not that easy. It's actually a razor thin profit margin industry, and you're relying on a lot of people to do a lot of things at the same time. It doesn't always work the same way.
So where do we get the best suggestions and ideas? And I think the problem for me is I know the food that I'm going to get at these restaurants. I know the value for my money. I know the flavors I'm going to like.
Sure.
I'm scared to. I always think it's like it's the only meal I'm ever going to meet. Like if I make a mistake this time, I'm damned for life. Not realizing, in 2 or 3 hours, you're going to want another meal. Well, maybe not that short. Maybe for me. Maybe.
Unless you're my 4-year-old.
Right. So how do we find this out without having to be guinea pigs?
Well, we have a Facebook group on Facebook called Houston Foodie Friends that my mother, you're in it. We're both in it. My mother created a long time ago. And I think a lot of diners join social groups like that to see what other diners are saying. Like, hey guys, I'm on the West Side. What's a good, taco breakfast place? Or what's a new place? Or where can I go for, Easter dining? And that's an option. A lot of people go to Instagram. The show that I do, Foodies and Friends, also kind of goes around and highlights. I like to stick with a lot of local, local folks, people who are living in Houston, working in Houston, that's a big focus for diners too. Is their choices have changed post-COVID, and they definitely pay a lot more attention to trying to support local as well. Which is nice. But yeah, Houston Foodie Friends on Facebook is a great place to start if you're looking for friends or you're looking for a new place, just because it's ongoing real-time discussion of, hey, I went to Milton's last night, or I went to Leo's, for dinner, and here's what I had, and here's what was really good.
And we also have on-time discussion happening right now on YouTube. And we just got a YouTube comment from the Wine Goddess TX. Says, love Katie Stone. Can't wait to see Katie and Ernie judging at Sangria Throwdown on May 15th.
Sounds more like a plug than a compliment, but I'll take it.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
That's a fun event, though, Ernie. Come on.
You can't
Who doesn't
say
like
that
sangria and throwdown together?
Okay, Easter, right around the corner.
Yes.
Give us some ideas. Where can we go? I don't want to go to the same old tried and true. I want to explore.
Sure. Yeah. So no shortage of Easter dining options here in Houston. Of course, the classics. We can't, forget about the classics, right? So Hugo's, Caracol, they're always having an Easter brunch. Brennan's also has kind of a multi-day Easter celebration. And those are, those price ranges are about $65, $75 per person. If you're not looking to spend that much per person, Buttermilk Baby is actually having a little Easter celebration too, which is, burgers, fries, hamburgers, and $10 to $15 price range.
What if you have a family that has a lot of kids, or they have family visiting, and you don't necessarily have time to make a reservation?
Sure, yeah, that's the nice thing. I think they're having at Buttermilk Baby on April 18th, so Friday from 4 to 7, they're even having the Easter Bunny that's coming out too, which is nice. And I don't know if you've been there, but it's a very cool place. I had my son's birthday party there, which is why I know that they're having the Easter Bunny. And they've got lots of, fun, colorful things for the kids. And they have very good ice cream, Carvel ice cream.
Oh, Carvel?
Yes.
Now we're talking out east, my people. The Easter Bunny, most frightening thing oftentimes that you will encounter in a mall, or the faces on the Easter Bunny. They always look, I don't want to say demonic, but
Easter Bunny, Santa.
Santa, much better, warm. Katie, thank you so much.
That's right. Katie Stone is the president of the Cleverly Stone Foundation, which produces Houston Restaurant Weeks and Eat Drink HTX. Katie, thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Come back.
And that brings us to the end of our show. We want to thank you for listening and watching us to Hello Houston. And we'll be back tomorrow learning about individuals living with neurological differences and the support that is offered in our area. This is News 88.7. Now is the time to make your donation to Houston Public Media. A great reason to give right now. Donations in the next 3.5 minutes will be doubled. Make your gift right now at HoustonPublicMedia.org or by calling 888-909-0887. I'm Celeste Diaz-Sherman here with Ernie Manous.
Houston Public Media is for everyone. You're the public in that. And if you've never given before, this moment is for you. Become a new member at this station.
All right, we're talking to you, the person who listens every day, relies on this station to stay informed. You make it possible for us to bring you every corner of Houston right to you. So support a stronger community with your donation right now at HoustonPublicMedia.org or by calling 888-909-0887.
Making your gift either one time or starting a monthly gift is easy to do. And when you do that right now, your donation is doubled. So start a monthly gift, $20, $30, $100, $1,000, and it will be doubled. Go right now, HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. Have a good Monday.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menjivar, Jen Altai, Todd Holslander, and Jim Kovacic. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at HoustonPublicMedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston